Part 2, Trey. Solomon Beckel, Urban Promise Prep student. Yeah, I know who did it. No, why too? Everybody thinks it was JB, but it wasn't. He was one of the few students I actually liked. Sure, he didn't talk much, but at least he didn't pick on me in third period like the rest of the kids. Couldn't have been Ramon either. Committing a murder on school grounds? Nah, I'm in math with him. He's way too smart for that. He has big dreams he wouldn't risk by doing something stupid and getting locked up for life. No, it was the other one. The one who doesn't care about anything. Trey. I never liked him. I didn't have any classes with him, but I'd seen him at lunch and recess all the time. He always had something to say about my Ethiopian accent, my complexion, and the scent of my clothes. He teased me about my clothes in general, and we wear uniforms. That takes some next level assholery. I hated him, actually. Glad I never stood up to him, though, because it turns out he's a murderer. And he didn't just kill anybody. He killed Principal Moore. Takes some balls. In some ways, I admire him because of that. His willingness to stand up for himself. That's exactly what he did a few hours before the murder, when Moore first gave him detention. A lot of kids knock Moore, but I don't. My parents taught me respect, and if you respect Moore, you'll get along just fine. It's literally his job to boss us around. He's the principal and the founder. JB knew respect. Ramon knew respect. But Trey didn't respect anyone. My parents would kill me if I even thought of talking back. I guess Trey was raised differently. I guess he was raised to kill. Stanley Ennis, entrepreneur and Urban Promise Prep donor. Nobody understood Moore's vision like I did. In fact, I think I saw more potential in what he built than even he did. Promise is more than just a school. It's a movement, and more importantly, a legacy. Not everyone saw it that way, though. People are often too small-minded or outright jealous to have the vision. There were always people complaining about the way Moore did things. Staff, students, parents, even community members. Of course, Moore wouldn't let that stop him. We spoke about expanding Promise, creating a network of schools across the country that would do exactly what Promise did in DC. Get the results that brought in the big bucks. Takes gumption and know-how. Moore had the know-how, and I definitely had the gumption. Moore wanted to grow slow at first, but after that first check I wrote to the school, he started to see things my way. Expanding the vision started with the basketball team. A strong sports department can be leveraged nationally, so it's a real shame that kid Trey played for the team. This year felt charmed. We were primed to go all the way to the championships, having our boys' photos splashed across every newspaper and national news. Opening up the wallets of the wealthier donors we needed to take Promise to the next level. I didn't mind giving the kids as much money as they needed with a team showing out like that. Moore was even able to start a new initiative for the kids, the Promise Fund. It had a nice tagline, to fund our students' biggest dreams and cement their futures. As much money as I poured into that investment, I told him he should have named it the Ennis Promise Fund. Again, such a shame he's gone. We were on the verge of accomplishing something incredible. Maybe we still can. I wonder who will step in to manage all this. With a tragedy of this magnitude, I'm positive I can usher in substantial financial support. Maybe we'll rename the Promise Fund after all. Brandon Jenkins, Urban Promise Prep student. Trey's my best friend here. I play the 1, he plays the 2. Our basketball team wasn't all that good before, but then Trey transferred in from New York. As soon as he got here, it went up. We got good. By the end of our junior year, Trey was the top scorer on the team. Shit, he even upped my game. Not only were we having our best season ever, but we got real looks from colleges in the area. That's all I've ever dreamed of, playing college ball. The day of the shooting was a playoff game against Dunbar, another powerhouse school in the city. The news kept saying that so many college scouts would be there. Trey and I had been studying Dunbar's best players. We had a pretty solid plan to take them down. I felt good about it. Until I saw Trey that morning. I knew something was up when he wasn't smiling. He smiled every day, especially on game days. You good, Slime? I asked. I'm straight, he replied quietly. When I say slime, he says goon. It's our thing. Always. But not today. He walked off fast, but I called out after him. Trey, what's going on? Trey, talk to me. Trey, you bugging. He finally stopped. It took him like 30 long seconds to turn around and face me. He stared back with weird, bloodshot eyes, then led me into a nearby bathroom. I followed. You have to promise you won't tell anybody, he said. I promised. Trey closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and right when he went to open his mouth to speak, a morning rush of kids came bursting in. Trey just looked at them, looked at me, stormed out. I don't know what he was going to tell me in that moment, but I went to class with a funny feeling in my stomach, like something bad might happen. I didn't see Trey again until warm-ups before the game. He crept into the gym, looking even more pitiful than he had that morning. Gather round, Coach Robinson shouted. Trey has an announcement. Coach gritted his teeth, and I knew whatever Trey was about to say would be bad. I can't play, Trey mumbled. Speak up, young man, Coach said. Own your mistake, and this consequence. I got in trouble, he muttered in explanation. Apparently, Principal Moore gave Trey detention, and he couldn't play in the game tonight. The whole team erupted. Disappointed moans and groans, dudes sucking their teeth, some dropping their heads in defeat. A chorus of, Damn, Trey! Echoed through the gym, but I stayed silent. Couldn't even look up at him. I just gawked at my shoes. I could feel him staring at me, waiting for me to say, It's all good, or to tell the team, We still got this, y'all. But I couldn't. I never met his eyes. The next time I saw Trey, handcuffs circled his wrists, and officers marched him out of the school. I don't want to believe Trey killed Principal Moore. I know the real him. I know a side of Trey that nobody else gets to see, and I owe it to him to give him the benefit of the doubt. But then I think about how bugged out he was that morning. It's not looking good for him. Uncle T, Trey's uncle. I really hope Trey ain't take my gun, for my sake and his. I mean, Trey's a lot of things, but he isn't dumb, and he isn't a killer. I know, 'cause I am. I served over 20 years for this country in the Marines, Special Ops, 3 tours, lived a lot, learned a lot, and the evil I've seen don't exist in Trey. However, when I first picked my nephew up from New York, he had knucklehead written all over him. Same as me that age, only I behaved far worse, stayed in the streets heavy and had either death, prison, or the military as my options. The war saved me. If I'm honest, which is a weird thing to think about, being shipped abroad to go fight for a country who doesn't love you, kill strangers, as the only option to keep you alive. Trey don't got the heart for war, though. I know that much. But I owed it to my sister to take Trey in and make sure he had a better fate than the guys I grew up with. What I didn't expect was for Trey's attitude to be as bad as it was. Always talking back, always bucking the rules, the type of thing that black men can't afford to do. It's probably because his father died so young. Cancer took him and left Trey behind to be raised by a woman. So I made it my mission to get him right, whatever it took. Curfews, strict routines, trying to keep him either in school or at home, limiting his time in the world, giving him zero space to get into trouble. There's a lot of mess you can get into in this city. Sure, every now and then we bump heads, especially at first. The transition is a hard thing for anyone, and Trey didn't make it easy, trying my patience time and again, coming in late, being unappreciative, neglecting the chores. I told him there was an easy way to do things, and there was a hard way all the same. He chose the hard way each and every time. And eventually, I had to chin check the boy to get him to straighten out. It's not like I wanted to, but I didn't really know what else to do. Ain't like I ever raised a boy into a young man before. I know how I came up, and I ended up doing all right for myself, better than most. After seeing these hands were the only things that worked, I proceeded to pop him every now and again, so he knew I wasn't playing. Eventually, we got into a rhythm, and he started following the rules at home. But then, the trouble at school came. For some reason, those people down at Promise always seemed to have a problem with Trey. They made me sit in class with him a couple times. Of course, he behaved like an angel then. I got on him about things, and I thought we'd turned a corner. I hadn't heard from the school for a good few weeks. I was beginning to think I really did it. I really set my nephew on a new path. Now, I'll be honest. I care for the boy, I really do. I know he thinks I just want to ride him, but he doesn't understand that this world will swallow him whole if his head isn't on straight. Black men don't get second chances, yet Trey got one with me. I couldn't let him waste it. And I got to give credit where it's due. He's been trying lately. I'm proud of him for the strides he made in basketball. I went to a few of his games, and the kid impressed me. I even invited one of my guys from the Navy to his playoff game. Bragged on Trey. Told him my nephew was the star player and a good kid. They sat in the bleachers waiting to meet the famous Trey Jackson, the next NBA star. But of course, Trey never played in that game. His own fault. Embarrassed the hell out of me. I know Trey didn't do anything to Principal Moore, but I can't ignore the fact my pistol is missing. Why couldn't Trey just do the right thing? If he'd never had detention, he would have been playing in that game and his innocence wouldn't be in question. This is exactly the thing I tried to explain to that boy. As a black man, you get no benefit of the doubt. You have to be on the right side of everything. My head is a mess, though. Thoughts on a loop about what I could have done differently. I tried so hard to change him, to turn him around, and he still found himself caught up in this messed up system. This place is too hard for a black man. I don't know. Maybe I was too hard on him, too. Coach Robinson, Urban Promise Prep basketball coach. I'm not going to lie, this one got me good. On both sides of the ball. Principal Moore gave me a shot when others didn't. I coached rec ball before this job, all for the love of the game because it wasn't putting any money in my pocket. Moore and I go way back. We attended Hampton University together. I got into some trouble off campus and got kicked off the team. Screwed up my chances at going to the league. Coaching was the next best thing. Keeps me close to the game. When Moore decided to start a team at Urban Promise, I was the first person he called. That's Moore. Always looking out. Always making sure everybody around him could eat. Even some of the players. Moore said the better the team did, the more potential for sponsorship dollars. He had me and the coaching staff scout players from here to New York, and he reached out personally to invite kids to Promise. He even would give them cash if they needed it to help them get here. That man helped so many families. After a few years, we started actually competing instead of losing every game. Then we got this kid, Brandon, and things really started shaping up. And then came Trey. That boy reminds me so much of myself, but with more talent. That's the sad part. Too many kids with so much potential fall to the pressure of the system, an invisible weight that pins them all down. I can't even see it. The thing is, Trey didn't do this. Trey wouldn't hurt a fly. Trey's one of the sweetest kids I know. Here's an example. One time, Moore got all riled up, giving a kid a hard time. Not one of my players, a quiet kid. I think Amari? Well, he wasn't wearing a belt and was going to get written up. Guess what happened? Trey walked over and gave the kid his belt. He was wearing his basketball uniform, so Moore couldn't write him up. And he covered for that kid, just like that. That's Trey. That's how he is. Still, even if he's innocent, I think this will ruin him. I think it'll traumatize him. And I think that's the flaw of the system. Once it touches you, you taint it forever, guilty or not. Same thing happened to me. Now Moore's gone. Trey's gone. I don't know, man. I'm just messed up. Antoine Betts, Urban Promise Prep student. I saw the whole thing, the whole thing. Trey came in with the first lunch period, lunch block A. They say block A is the rowdy kids, but that's my favorite one. Them boys funny as hell. I stay laughing. I was there because I'm doing SCI, Senior Culinary Initiative, and getting credit for cooking, so I can have the option to work in a restaurant after school. Who knows? Apparently, SCI was an idea this dude Ramon created. The lunch ladies loved it because they're understaffed, and when me and the other SCI dudes have our blocks, it makes their jobs a lot easier. We know how to deal with the boys. But anyway, that day was intense. The kids filed in one by one, hands behind their backs, heads down as always. For a while, it was actually a pretty uneventful lunch period. No fights, no food thrown, no kids trying to skip the line. I'm guessing because we had pizza. See, if a student gets in trouble during lunch, they get booted from the cafeteria without a chance to eat, So on days we serve a popular dish, they behaved. Everybody loves pizza, right? So they ate in silence as usual, the no talking rule always in effect. When some boys at one table started laughing, I peeked out from the back. I never missed a chance for some comedy. A teacher went over and gave a warning to the table and then to the kid cracking the jokes, Trey. They all settled down after that. Trey was never one to be bad for real. But maybe 5 minutes go by and the kids at the table started laughing again. This time because Trey did something with his food, messing around. Bad timing, though. More walked in. The teacher went over again and gave Trey a demerit. When the teacher got back to their post, Moore stomped over. You having trouble out of that one? He asked. You know it, the teacher replied. Moore stuck around for a few more minutes, circling the tables, arms crossed, scowling. All the boys sat up straight. He had a spell on us, or we never wanted any trouble from him when it could be avoided. He took things to the max. Eventually, though, Moore got up to leave, or at least pretended to. And what'd you know, right on cue, Trey cracked another joke, a loud one, this time about Moore. Forehead looking like a landing strip, boy. The other kids erupted with laughter until Moore popped his head right back into the cafeteria. And that's when things got interesting. I saw something I'd never seen before, something I didn't even know was possible. Moore completely lost his cool. He stormed across the room. What you say? Trey sure didn't stay tight-lipped then. No, you want to be a clown? Then be a clown. Tell a joke, Moore barked. But Trey kept his mouth shut. Tell a joke, Jackson, Moore yelled again. Trey ignored him. When I thought things couldn't get any worse, Moore stooped down in the boy's face and literally yelled, I said tell a damn joke. Some kids snickered. That little laugh to keep from crying type of thing. Others stuffed their mouths full of pizza, terrified. Trey looked humiliated. Eyes darting all around, he snapped back. Get the fuck out of my face! Or what? Moore roared. Before I kill you! The whole room fell silent. Not even the lunch ladies dared move. A jolt zipped up my back. At the time, I didn't think he meant it. Felt more like a defense mechanism. But knowing what I know now, I guess that boy was dead-ass serious. After the shock wore off, Moore grabbed Trey by the collar and pretty much dragged him out of the cafeteria. You know the rest. Mrs. Hall, Urban Promise Prep teacher. My poor students, my poor baby boys. I started teaching at Urban Promise the very first year it opened. Been here ever since. This place used to be magic when those doors first opened. Boys from all across the city who were forgotten about finally had a place to call home. A place where the administration cared about giving them a fair shot. Moore really did. Sure, he'd always been a little strict, but you have to be with these kids. You do. But not out of fear or hate or misunderstanding. Out of love. The first couple years, Urban Promise didn't perform the way we hoped it would, at least not in Moore's eyes. I thought we'd made progress, sure. We could always be better, but Moore wanted to be the best. So, we went to school visits, conferences, workshops, all sorts of things to learn the best practices. A tweak here, a tweak there, and before you know it, I realized we were herding boys like cattle. They weren't kids anymore. They were prisoners. Recently, I approached Moore about my disapproval with the school culture, and do you know he told me to pack up and leave if I didn't like it? He'd changed. A different human entirely from the one I agreed to work for. Angry, cold, all the time, all the energy, effort, blood, sweat, and tears I put into this place, and he had the nerve to just toss me aside? I'm getting worked up just thinking about it. Oh, and Trey, a suspect? That boy wouldn't hurt a fly. Talk tough, but I see through that. All these boys talk tough. Give them a little love and watch them melt. They're children. Everyone seems to always forget that, no matter their size, no matter their skin color, no matter their attitude. Trey never had a fair shake, not even at Promise. It was determined, legally, that he needed an aide in order to do his best learning. But Moore just flat out didn't do it. Said it'd be too costly to hire such a person. Said the school had enough financial trouble as it is without taking on more debt. I couldn't believe it. I don't know exactly what changed Moore. Rumors constantly circulate. Infidelity, and a disgruntled wife, a messy divorce, talk of a failed investment, some financial trouble he faced. In any case, The turmoil in his personal life started to bleed into work recently. He'd showed up at school unkempt, late, or even called out sick. He looked out at he looked ugh, he took it out on the kids, even the staff. But I, for one, was tired of being yelled at. I was there at Promise on the day of the shooting. I'd marched into his office to give him my letter of resignation. I couldn't take it anymore, and when I heard Moore was dead, my first thought was, oh God, he did it. He took his own life. Trey's interrogation. Transcript from Trey's official questioning. Detective Bow. State your name for the record, please. Trey. Detective Ash. Whole name? That is my whole name. You think this shit is funny? Want us to just put you away now? Jackson. Trey Jackson. Where do you live? Southeast, near the Navy Yard? Oh, that's right. Your uncle is the former Marine. You talked to my uncle? We're asking the questions. Where were you on the 10th of October at approximately 6:30 p.m.? You know where I was. Oh, so you were in Moore's office? Gun to his head? No, I was in detention, like I told you a million times. Why were you in detention? You a troublemaker? Come on, bro, do I look like a troublemaker? As a matter of fact, you look like the kind of kid who likes to stir shit up. According to the teachers at your school, you are. That's because the teachers don't like me. They've got to have a reason, right? Whatever, man. You hear anything in detention? I heard I have rights to a lawyer. What do you need a lawyer for? You didn't do anything wrong, right? No. Then talk to us. You can trust us. We can help you. I don't need your help. I need my lawyer. Doesn't matter. You know the other one already told on you. Huh? Told what? Told us what you did. But I didn't do anything. What they say. Not what we heard. Just tell us the truth from your perspective. Maybe you know something about one of the other kids. If you want to play hardball, we can play harder, and you're not going to like it. Okay, have it your way.